So in the last step, we sent a notification to the parents, and hopefully that notification will lead to getting the parents' verifiable consent before collecting information from the kids, which is required by COPPA. And so, what is the process that COPPA requires for you to actually get that verifiable consent? COPPA really leaves it up to you in terms of how to get it, but it's important to choose a method that is reasonably designed in light of the available technology to ensure that the person giving the consent is the child's parent. You don't want to run into one of those situations where you see in high school television shows and movies where someone pretends to be the kid's parents and signs off on a bad report card or something like that. So, in short, it needs to be reasonably designed to make sure that you understand that it's a parent and not just another kid or that child themselves pretending to be a parent. Assuming that you're some sort of service provider, so you're not necessarily the actual online service, website, or app, you're a marketing company that works with these people, or you're an ad company, then if you have actual knowledge that you're collecting personal information from a site or app or service that's directed towards children, you may get consent either directly or through the service that you're working with. So you have to make a decision about whether or not you want to put any sort of manpower or energy into getting that, or if you want to defer the requirements to the service that you're working with. The FTC has a whole lot of suggestions on how to get this consent, despite the fact that COPPA doesn't necessarily have any specific requirements in how you get it. Very few of these suggestions are practical. You might be a little suspicious as you hear them and say, how can I possibly do that? That doesn't make any sense for designing my website or app. But nonetheless, here are the FTC suggestions on acceptable methods for getting parental consent. And afterwards, in the next few videos, as I explain in all of these steps, we're going to look at what people are actually doing in the field and turn these suggestions into a set of best practices. So, things the FTC suggests are that you can sign a consent form and send it back to you via fax, email, or electronic scan. Use a credit card, debit card, or other online payment system that provides notification of each separate transaction to the account holder. Call a toll-free number staffed by COPPA-trained personnel who will collect the verifications. Connect to trained personnel via video conference, or provide a copy of a form of government-issued ID that you check against the database, as long as you delete the identification from your records when you finish the verification process. Here's other suggestions. If you will use a child's personal information only for internal purposes and won't disclose it, you can use a method called Email Plus. And so under that method, you send an email to the parent and have them respond with their consent. Then you must send a confirmation to the parent via email, letter, or phone call. And then if you use Email Plus, you must let the parent know that they can reject their consent at any time. And so again, this is if you're using the personal information only for internal purposes and it won't end up going out publicly. Continuing along the same line, you must give parents the option of allowing the collection and the use of their child's personal information without agreeing to disclosing that information to third parties. So parents can let you use it for the service, but they can opt out of allowing you to disclose the information to third parties. Moving along, if you make changes to the collection, use, or disclosure practices the parent already agreed to, you need to get new notice and receive their verified consent. Finally, it's worth knowing that there are narrow exceptions to the general rules of getting verified consent, and we'll talk about those later because those are incredibly narrow and incredibly sort of hard to understand and implement in a practical way.